To be honest, I think my time in university was kind of wasted. I wanted to make this video so that you don't have to feel the way that I did when I graduated, the disappointment and the shock and all the other feels that came with it. The very detailed breakdown that I'm about to give you about interior design universities and which one maybe to choose is something that I wish I had found back in 2009 when I was searching for universities in the UK. We'll take a deep dive into the curriculum, the facilities, the location, and even what happens after the graduation. It's going to be a long one, so grab a drink, get comfy. There's timestamps below in the description box so you can come back at any point or watch it again or do whatever you like, but there's timestamps, so use them. But first, hey, welcome. This is Space for Edit. My name is Cynthia. I am a commercial interior designer and the YouTube analytics tell me that you must be new here. So hello, welcome. On this channel we talk about all the things that they don't teach you in design school but you need to know in the real world, so a bit of business tips, a bit of creative tips, like a bit of everything. So, you know, you're welcome. Okay, let's look at the first thing, the curriculum. School is great for throwing theory at us, right? There's a theory about this, there's history on that, there's these principles, blah, 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 blah. But there's no actual practical connection, not often. Obviously all this knowledge is great and we need it because everything that we know is based on all of this knowledge and based on all of the history and all of the principles. But what we need to understand is that they became these principles, they became the historic events because someone actually did something. There was action before the fact, right? So someone did something, maybe it didn't go right, they practiced it a bit more, put a bit more effort, more research into it, did it again, it turned out great, okay, great, we made history happen, okay? But there was this action before the fact, before the history was made. So the reason why I want you to think about this as a big deal is because everything that we do in this industry is very much practice and theory and knowledge going hand in hand day by day. So if the university that you are looking at, the course that you are looking at, does not offer this kind of approach where you will be able to practice or see in action what they are telling you in lectures, in classroom or in the studio, then this uni might not be the one for you. And of course you can get an interior design degree without any practice, without any practical experience. Trust me, I've been that, I've done that, and that's why I'm making this video, so you don't make that mistake again. I graduated with just a piece of paper, 3 years of university knowledge behind me and no practical experience. My degree did not have any work placements. Maybe the practical experiences in the studio were just, they were not the real thing. So that's why I'm really passionate about this topic. Now working in the industry, I see how much that kind of pulled me back maybe and really was a waste of time. There was nothing practical that I had experienced during my studies, it was just theory. So when you are looking through the curriculum and the kind of brief about the course in a specific university, ask yourself, how will I be able to practice what they are teaching me, the theory they're teaching me, in kind of a real world situations? Is it going to be shadowing designers? Is it going to be through internships? Will there be someone coming in the studio to work with you and give you that insight of the real world? I will be talking about all of those things in a bit more detail in a minute, but this is the first thing that you really need to focus on. Ideally, you want it all, but most universities struggle to do even just one thing. So, you know, let's crawl before we can run. Just make sure that there is some sort of practice in that curriculum. Another great way to connect theory and practice is through support from real life designers. I don't want to say that, but yes, someone who's actually working in the industry and they might be coming in for lectures, for workshop visits, supporting you through your studio projects, or maybe you are actually going out to them to see their site, or their studios, how they work and how they operate. And again, these do not have to be just designers. These could be architects, these could be anyone from the industry actually. So any of the suppliers like fabric suppliers, wallpaper suppliers, paint suppliers, could be contractors, electricians. There are so many moving parts and you will be working with so many different individuals and professionals to make your project, from that little twinkle in your eye and that first briefing session to an actual real existing functioning site. There is a lot going on, and I feel like when I graduated I had maybe like a little bit of an idea, you know, the top of the iceberg type of a situation where I knew that there were people involved, but I didn't know who, and I didn't really know the extent that they went to help us and make everything happen. So the actual first real experience with this for me was in my internship. I think that is quite a big deal, and it's definitely going to come as an advantage for you later when you are applying for jobs, that you have this understanding and you know what people are doing in the industry. So if you see any indication that there will be someone coming in to give you guest lectures, help you with design work, coming into your studio giving talks, or you will be going out, then that is a big fat tick to the yes box for this university and this course. Okay, I'm not finished with the real world experience connection just yet. Next one, internships and work experience. A big one, and I really want you to listen and take this super seriously, okay, when I break this down. Let me rewind back to summer 2015 when I was a fresh graduate myself. My degree, my course had absolutely zero options for work placement during all 3 years of my studies. I know. I'm still in disbelief that I went with this university, but I did. It happened, and you know, it was happy ending after all. But I graduated with no industry experience. I hadn't even stepped into an interior design studio or an architect's office. I had no idea of what is going on in the real world, and I believe that this disconnection really set me back when it came to finding an actual job or an internship post-graduation. I had tried to apply for something, I think the year before, for the summer, but nothing really came of it. I was a second-year student. I had no really support from university to find any placements because there was nothing in the curriculum about it. So I really had nothing. 3 years, diploma, some knowledge about interior design, not the greatest, but hey ho, we did it, we had the diploma. And in a world that really puts interior design diploma kind of on a pedestal, like when companies hire you, they still look at that education document as a has to be done kind of thing. In a world like that, I came out with a document, but I still could not get a job. My first job, actually unpaid internship, took me 1.5 years to find. 1.5 years. I thought I'm just gonna give up. I thought I'm never gonna find an interior design job, but I did eventually, but that's another story. But now looking back at it all, looking back at that experience, I understand why I did not get any yeses and any offers for internships or junior positions. And it's because I did not have any experience. When you go into a studio, it's such fast pace. Everyone is working on multiple projects at the same time, and the manager's actually managing the team as well as their own projects. So there's a lot going on. And if you have someone coming in that hasn't had experience in a real studio environment, that means that that person will have to show them the ropes and kind of keep an eye on them and help them and probably do their work at some point as well, or even change the mistakes that they've done. So anyways, there's a lot, and it's obviously, it's natural, it's part of the process, which is fine. You know, if you are in that situation, then don't be afraid, like that happens, that is fine for junior roles. But for a busy studio that has a lot going on already, to hire or to take someone on who hasn't got a clue at all, it's a lot. And now I can understand why, you know, they would go with someone with an experience. It just makes sense. So this is the reason why I'm telling you now, please pick a university where they have a summer placement, a whole year placement. Sometimes it's the second year in university where you can get a whole year's placement in a studio. Just see if they are working with any architects or design studios where they do help with the summer internships, with placements and anything like that that gets you that real world experience and puts it on your CV. It just all makes everything so much easier. So yes, please, internships, work experiences have to be on the curriculum. Okay, let's put our stalker hats on for a second, because if you are really serious about going to the best university, then this is something that you need to pay attention to as well. Your tutors and lecturers can really shape your university experience, and they can also be a great kind of gateway to all of the knowledge and all of the industry insights that will help you and support you post-graduation. I'm sure I don't have to spell it out for you how boring some teachers can be, right? So you understand the importance of that. I remember we had 2 tutors who were coming in, I think maybe twice a week or once a week, kind of checking in on us on our studio projects and giving us some feedback and just kind of supporting us with whatever we were going through. And even though now again looking back, I definitely did not take enough advantage of the fact that they were there, but I do remember how interesting the conversations were and how encouraging they were with whatever you were going through, whatever questions you had. Those lessons and those studio days were a lot more exciting than anything else during the week. And if you get a good enough relationship with them and a good connection, then they can really even help you out post-graduation with finding a position or a job. They can be that reference to another employer who will really see the connection and maybe even hire you just because they've given that reference. So when you look at universities and the tutors, the teachers, the lecturers, whoever is coming in to deliver the curriculum, really have a little stalk around their LinkedIn profile. If they have a business, go to their website, see what projects they are working on, things that they are talking about, industry events they are going at, and you can really have a good sense of enthusiasm for what they are doing. And hopefully the university that you have set your mind and your eyes to has got quite a good bunch of lecturers and industry professionals. So the research in our job never stops. There are always new trends popping up, new technology coming in and really switching things around as well. Sustainability is huge at the moment. That's changing and evolving every single day. So you do have to be active and kind of on your feet all the time. So if the university has got trips to exhibitions or to other countries abroad, or even just visiting new openings like new restaurant or new office building openings within your city, that can really help you to really get yourself into that constant research mode. I'm sure that if you're a creative person, that I don't need to tell you how much inspiration and kind of new energy you can get from just visiting new places, whether it's a new country, a new city, a nice walk, or even just a trip to a museum. So taking these types of trips will not only give you that knowledge of what's new, what's trending, but it will also train your kind of critical, analytical eye. Now, when I walk in any kind of space, I'm always looking around and thinking how things are fixed, what are the material combinations, how they've done the layout of the place. There's constantly all of this going on in my brain, and I almost shelve that information for my next project or for whenever I need it. So that research is constant. So with these trips, with these exhibitions, or anything again practical, real life industry experience, that's going to help you later on as a designer. So the importance is there. It should be in the curriculum. Make sure it is. Okay, so that was curriculum. Hopefully you got a good understanding what should be in the curriculum. If you have any questions, pop them down in the comments. But now we're moving on to the facilities. I used to love browsing through the library when I had time. I was working in a bar, making my way, paying my bills, making my living almost every day, I'd say, yeah, weekends and stuff. So I didn't really get time to experience the library life and the research and the late nights and that sort of stuff. But when I got to the library, I was kind of like in heaven. I feel like picking out a real book and just flipping through the pages, there's just something so good about it, like that old school research rather than just typing it in. It's like, oh yeah, information. But I feel like you take on the information completely differently when it's on a paper, and maybe you're taking your own notes and, you know, doing that whole thing. I feel like that is a whole experience. Plus, these libraries, if you are going to a university and doing course in interior design, these libraries will be specifically around design and architecture, and that is something that is hard to find once you graduate. The public libraries are just kind of libraries, you know, they are not design led, so that was quite special. And definitely look into it, what the facilities are within these library buildings, and it's definitely worth looking at what the buildings themselves are like. What are the opening hours? You will be surprised how many late nights and weekends you're gonna have to work and go through all of that. Even like the communal areas, are there spaces where you can do the research on site, so you don't have to always collect the books and go back wherever you are going back to, so you can stay there and even connect and network with other students. Same goes with meeting rooms and more like quiet spaces, so you are not constantly out in the open, as well as just like a cafe. Is there a cafe on or nearby? Because, you know, that coffee keeps us going. All of these are little things, but I feel like overall that really again makes that university experience a lot more fulfilling and valuable. Our industry is all about that touchy-feely thing, so make sure that you will be supported in this field as well. So some things to look out for: CAD rooms. So these are basically your computer rooms. I don't know what you call them. Make sure that you can check out what the gear is like, what the computers they're using, what softwares they are teaching. If you need more information on what software we use, check out these videos. Just see how far advanced they are, because we as designers, even though it's touchy-feely, it's being out there on site speaking to clients, I would say 70% of the time we spend at the desk staring at the computer. So to have these basics in place and have a good understanding on software to use and how to use it, that is a must. Material libraries. One thing that my university did not have, and I am still beyond disappointed, and I just can't get over it, why they didn't have an actual material library in our studio. That is a must. It's like our third arm, you know, to have that access to all of the materials from the world. Even just that, for me, you know, it's, I can grab it and I can get the details and inspiration that I need from it. And we really did not have anything. At least I don't know, maybe I missed it, I don't know, but we did not have it. The first time that I held a wallpaper book or a fabric book was during my internship. Like, how bad is that? And my task was to go and look through these books and get samples and get inspiration for the other designers that were working on the project. And that was me kind of trying to figure out, what am I doing like with this new thing? And I'm just thinking now, it's beyond me. So make sure that there's a library with all of the finishes that you could think, from flooring to paint samples to fabrics, wallpapers, lighting, anything. Make sure that they have a sample library. It's very important because you need to understand the different materials, how they are made. You know, it's just all about learning from actually seeing the thing. Again, that theory versus practical experience. If there's a disconnect between that, you are just gonna be, you're gonna be missing out. Printing, model making, photography studios, so any that sort of support that maybe will help you to create these models. It is quite rare that you will have to make a model, physical model for your clients or in studios, unless you go down the architectural route. But it's always good to have all of this kind of on hand and explore all of this during your studies, because it gives you a better understanding of physical spaces. From time to time, I do a little model myself, but everything usually happens in 3D now. I remember always running up and down to the print studio as well, because we would be printing out something to do a collage with. Same with the photography studio, we would photograph our models and then again use it for any other research or further design work. So all of those little skills, they do add up, and even though that is something maybe that we don't use in everyday in real life scenarios, it is still something that you need to know of, and definitely will have a more of an advantage over everyone else later on. This is something worth mentioning, but again, I can't really speak too much from my own experience because again, your girl was working in the pub. But if you are lucky and you have all the spare time to go and join clubs and go to events, then that is a great way how to maybe not practice your academic skills and academic knowledge, but giving you the experience of the soft skills that you will need as an interior designer. This is your chance to network, to almost grow as a person and find your own voice, because I do believe a lot of the time in university is almost like your time to stand on your own 2 feet, find your voice, figure out what you are like as a creative, as a designer, as a person. University is not just about studies. Please, please, please don't go to uni and think that, okay, I'm just gonna put all of my time, all of my effort into the academic, into the studio project, and I'm just gonna cut everything else off. No. That is the wrong way to do it. When you are out in the real world, it's a people's business. Design industry is people's business. People buy from people. And trust me, when you are out there making a living out of this whole interior design thing, you will be very interested in people wanting to buy from you, people wanting to work with you, okay? So make sure you do spend some time networking with other people around you as well. Okay, next we have location. There are some things that can really make or break your time in university and also influence your life post-graduation. So let's take a look at some of those. I can honestly say that the city that I ended up in really made my university years a lot nicer experience. I studied in Liverpool, and I really feel like the Northerners in the UK are they're just great people. And Scousers, people from Liverpool, were just so kind and nice to me. I went there completely on my own. I did not have a community or a family around me, basically no one. And I ended up in a house where I found friends for life, and all my workmates in the pub were just so kind and friendly. I never felt like I was out of place. So picking the right city is quite important as well. So even simple things like how long does it take you to get from A to B, from wherever you're going to be living to your university studio? Is it a walking distance? Is it a tube? Is it a bus? And really kind of sit with it for a moment and just thinking long term, what would you rather prefer? For me in Liverpool, everything is very much around the corner. I could either take the bus or I could walk, and most of the times walking was actually a lot quicker than the bus, depending on the traffic. And I think if I was studying, for example, somewhere in London or even in Manchester, this experience would have been a lot more complicated and definitely not as enjoyable. Another thing that charges our batteries is events and culture, right? Once again, bigger cities will definitely have a lot more going on. There will be more international exhibitions, whether it's art exhibition or any kind of other cultural events. There will be international artists coming in, doing shows, you know. And if you do have that budget, if the budget stretches and you can enjoy all of this, then that whole experience during uni, again, is going to be a lot more colourful, and you will get a lot more influences from all of these experiences. And once again, I have to show love for Liverpool because there was always something going on. And those were also free events. There would be parades and shows and exhibitions that you can go to. There was always something going on, and even when maybe in the beginning I felt a bit like alone and kind of finding my feet and finding my group, my friends, I would still be able to go somewhere, to go to an event and not feel like I was alone or feel like I was out of place. And I guess in a way that set me up to be more comfortable with being out of my comfort zone, if you know what I mean. Like, it pushed me to do more things and just kind of go with it. And that's definitely been a theme ever since I graduated, and to be honest, throughout my life in general. But I do feel a lot more confident in these situations where it's just me and I have to go and do the thing, you know, no one else is going to do it for me. So this kind of experience, when you are surrounded by a lot of things going on, there's a buzz, it helps you to get out there, do the thing, go for your dreams, you know, without sounding too soapy and all, but you know what I mean. pick a city that has got stuff going on, okay? Going back to the fact that university is not just all about studies and academics. It's also about having this vibrant, colorful experience where you find your independence, then exploring the surrounding areas or having day trips further away can really improve all of that as well. Maybe in the summer you're going to the beach, or you're going for some walks, you're visiting like cities away. So if I was in Liverpool, I could have gone to Manchester to kind of experience the life in there. I didn't. Again, I didn't have the money, I was working, but hey ho, I could have done all that. So if there are connections, if there's trains going, if there's a way to travel around, I would say that's a better option than maybe for somewhere where it's quite secluded and there's not much going on and not much to do. Once again, the real life experience, come back to it, but I had to mention it here because bigger cities, or cities where there's more going on, more stuff happening, there's gonna be naturally a lot more work opportunities. And I feel like that's something that I overlooked and definitely didn't consider, maybe because I didn't even have the knowledge, the understanding, because no one gave me this checklist that I'm giving you, okay? And I was kind of fixated to Liverpool only. I didn't think about all the other surrounding areas. I thought that if I'm living in Liverpool, then I need to find a job in Liverpool. But actually, I could have found a job in Manchester or in Leeds or in Birmingham or even in London. You know, nothing was tying me down to just stay in one city. But if you are already in that big city, if you are in London, if you are in Manchester, you already have a lot more of work opportunities going on. A lot more studios that will take internships or work placements during your studies. There's obviously a lot more competition, but you know, that's something that we can deal with. It's rather to have more competition, more opportunities, rather than less opportunities and still a lot of competition. This will be your home for the next 3 years, sometimes even more, beyond your studies. So it is important wherever you kind of find your base, it is clean, it is safe, and it is comfortable. Again, we are adding to the whole experience. Yes, this is not academic, but this is something that you will be dealing with on daily basis. You know, if you find a student house that's in a horrible area and you can't really get to it and you can't really walk alone in nighttime, then you know, that's something to consider. You might start in student halls, aka student dorms, I think, is that the American way to say it, and then move on to a house where you share the house with a few other people. Or like me, as I was a mature student, and I did feel like a mature student, to be honest. When I went to university, I was 21, 20, and mostly everyone was kind of 18, 19, freshly out. So I went straight into a house. I was like, you know, the whole student accommodation thing, you know, halls are not for me. I've done that, been there. I need my peace, I need my own space. And luckily I found an amazing house and amazing housemates who are truly still my friends up to this day, and the landlord was amazing. I still have a great connection and relationship with them, and this whole experience again, it just made me feel a lot more comfortable and welcome, safe. It just felt like home. I'm always going to say that Liverpool for me feels like home from home, and it's probably because of this reason. Okay, you are gonna get homesick. All right, I know how much you want this independent life and getting away from it all, and yeah, in some cases you know, you might need to get there, but you will get homesick and you will want to go home and visit your family, and otherwise as well, your family and friends might want to come and visit you. So how far is this journey? Is it a bus? Is it a train journey? Is it just getting on the motorway and driving up and down? Or even like for me, it was a flight and a hour's car journey. Yeah, it's an hour. So think about all of these elements, and I know that one thing that we probably don't want to think about and talk about, but we need to, that's emergencies. What if something happens with you or with your family and you need to get there? How quickly can you get there? How easy can you get there? Something that we don't really want to think about, but it could happen. So maybe a university with better access, better train connections, airport nearby is a better option than others. Okay, last one. Are we still here? Are we okay? Can you just type us something in the comments? How are you feeling about this whole topic. Are there any questions that I still haven't covered? If you want me to talk more about my own experience, how I went through it, the application process and all that sort of stuff, I've not actually made a video about it yet, so you know, if you're interested, I might make one. But the last topic that I want to talk about is what happens after your graduation. Okay, I'm not saying that this is maybe a big deal maker breaker type of thing, but it is useful to once again put the stalker hat on and see where the postgraduates are now. Where have they ended up in? What was their journey like? What did they do? What steps did they take? Some people decide to take a whole year off and go traveling and do whatever they want to, so the career kind of gets pushed aside. Some people completely drop what they are doing, and others might have connections straight away and they end up in great jobs straight away. And some, like me, spend over a year and a half to find an opportunity. So whatever the storyline there is, it doesn't mean that that's going to be you, but it's good to learn from that and it's good to reflect on it, because it's sort of a good indicator of what happens post-graduation. And it's worth mentioning here that everything is going to be up to you. You are going to be the one who's going to make things happen post-graduation, okay? No one's going to sit down with a silver spoon and give you that opportunity. No, you're gonna have to put in work. So it's not just because someone has got a great job then you're gonna get a great job as well, but it gives you an insight, gives you a bit of a feel of what you could do post-graduation. Whilst you're stalking these students, make sure to pay attention to their work as well. This will give you a good indication on where they are going kind of professionally, how their skills are evolving, especially if you can see their final year work and see kind of what the level there is, because you can really see someone who stands out. There will always be someone who stands out, whether they have actually done the work or they paid someone else to do the work, that's a different thing. But there will be someone who stands out, and then there will be someone who hasn't put the effort in there as well. So you can kind of gauge that difference and find that mediocre point and see what work quality this university is producing. But again, it is all up to you, okay? You're gonna be doing the work, so even though someone has maybe done a lower quality stuff, putting more effort in makes it you're gonna get a better result anyway. Okay, this one I would actually class as quite an important one. Some universities have got really good post-graduation schemes, and even leading up to the graduation, some are very much hands-on and helping you with everything that surrounds job search and putting yourself out in the job market. So they would start with pre-graduation, kind of prepping you for maybe interviews, helping you with your portfolio, so doing like mock-up interviews and mock-up presentations where you need to present your work and answer these interview questions. So all of that support is already happening and giving you a bit of a taste there. It's not going to be the same, of course, but it's giving you a good taste of what it will feel like when you are actually sitting opposite a real employer. And some universities actually do call in like directors and designers to come into their studios and interview students. So if that's happening, then that's a winner. And then the support could also continue post-graduation, at least like a year or less. It depends when you get your first job opportunity. If there's a proof that this university is maybe working with certain architecture or design firms and they have this collaboration going on where, I don't know, the architect studio might take in some placements or some internships, or they've got like a postgraduate scheme where they give a bit of experience, shadowing days, and even giving references to other studios to kind of push you on top of the list. If there's any indication of this going on, then this university might be better than other choices. Okay, and last but not least, and actually the first thing that I did when I was looking for interior design universities back in 2008, 9, when did I start the search, is reviews and rankings. So I remember going onto Googling for like the top universities in UK, and I think it was like the top 100 list in somewhere like The Guardian or something like that. And it was literally a physical list of top universities, not just design and architect. We're talking back in the day, it wasn't as advanced. Google wasn't as advanced. There wasn't as much information out there and as much specific information. But I had the list of 100 top universities, and I would actually go through one by one, looking through them and seeing if they had an interior design degree, whether it was interior design architecture, styling, just design, interior design on its own. And then I would go through each course and read through the curriculum and everything that they offered. And mind you, I was still kind of in my infancy with my English knowledge. I had a good understanding, I could speak, but it wasn't as advanced as it is now. So a lot of things probably just slipped my mind. But I managed to narrow down my 5 based on this list. So if you can, do a little Google, see what cities you are looking at, have a look at the reviews and rankings. How do they rank against each other? Because this is something that doesn't just happen, you know. Maybe sometimes people pay someone off, you know, on the blog, but usually these reviews and rankings are real. You can look up what the ex-graduates say about certain course. The course that I actually went to, I think we were the last year to actually do that interior design course. So that is no longer existing, and I guess that gives you a bit of an insight why my experience was so. But anyways, we move, and make sure to have a look at these reviews. Have a Google, look at LinkedIn, look at YouTube, and see what people are saying about their experience in this university. Well, that has been a long video. Are you still here? Are we still doing this? If we are, congratulations. And for me, this is an indication that you are really taking your interior design education seriously. And I really hope that these pointers will give you a good or a better understanding of the choices that you are making. Unfortunately, from what I've heard so far, I've graduated now just under 10 years ago. I still hear the same scenarios where there's no practical experiences in there, no internships, no support post-graduation, and the whole university experience is kind of a waste of time. Unfortunately, I still hear stories like that. But I do also hear stories of success and people really enjoying their time in university and learning a lot and getting the best support post-graduation as well. So there are universities out like that, and unfortunately the way that our job market is set up to be, we still need the diploma. I have a video on whether I think we need that or not over here, but that's another story, so go and check it out if you want to. One last thing before I love you and leave you is please promise me that you are going to enjoy this experience, okay? Wherever in the world you are, studying design, going to university, this time is going to be shaping the way that you are for the rest kind of your life. I know it sounds cheesy, but for most of us, that's going to be the first time that we find our feet, our independence, and start to do things on our own with no one else telling us what to do and where to go. So whether you put the practice in, whether you study, whether you meet your deadlines or you don't, whether you party all the time, whether you spend all your money, whether you save, whether you there's so many things, so many decisions that you will have to make that will form your experience. So just promise me that you will make it a good one, okay? 10 years from now, you will be looking at the experience, and those will be the good old times, and those will be the uni days. So I hope that you will remember them with a smile on your face. That's it. That's all for today. It's a long video. I'm sorry, but I had to get this out. I had to put this out there, so now it is, and I hope it was useful. So if you have any more time, if you want to binge watch, then make sure you check out these videos. If not, then I'll see you in the next one. Bye.